Welcome to Lesson 1-1, Variables in Algebra. Today we're going to do a review on some vocabulary terms and also how to evaluate variables when you have them in algebra. Over the summer, some of this knowledge probably got some cobwebs growing on it, so we're going to get those cobwebs cleaned out and get back into our algebra brains. So please make sure that you put this in your notes and that you have a very firm understanding of it. Okay, the first thing I want to do is talk about my summer vacation. Over the summer, my family went on vacation to Michigan. We drove for 7 hours, an average speed of 65 miles per hour. What I need to know is how far did we travel? What distance did we go? How many miles did we put on the car? Well, in order to solve this, you're going to need to know the formula for distance, which is D equals RT. And in case you don't know, D means distance, R means rate, and T means time. This is a formula I'm going to need you to know. So if you don't already have this memorized and locked away in your brain, put it in your notes and spend a little bit of time with it. So D equals RT, distance equals rate times time. Here we have Mr. Kristen. He's waving, he's got the top down on his car. Looks like he's speeding off, ready to go on vacation. Okay, before we get started with these problems, I'd like to first talk about the vocabulary you'll need for this lesson. First vocabulary term is a variable. A variable, all it is a letter that means a range of numbers, or it can simply mean one number. Okay? Most common, you will see X and you will see Y, simply because those are the axis of the coordinate plane, X-axis and the Y-axis. But it can be any letter, so it can be A, it can be Z, it can be Q. Any letter at all is a variable. A value is the number a variable represents. So if I tell you that X equals 3, the variable is X, the value is 3. If I tell you that Q equals 10, well, the variable is Q, the value is 10. Okay, variable expression. Variable expression is an expression that consists of constants, variables, and operations. What does that mean? Well, it has three parts. It has a constant, which we all know is just a plain old number, a variable, which we just learned is a letter, and an operation. So an operation is multiply, divide, add, subtract. So if I have 2 plus x, I have a constant, I have a variable, I have an operation. This is a variable expression right here. Okay, if I have something like 3q, well, my constant is 3, my variable is q. There's no operation here, is there? I don't see any signs. Well, you would put on your super secret algebra goggles, and what you'd see is this invisible multiplication sign. Okay, so whenever you see a letter and a number next to each other like this, it's always multiplication, although that sign won't be there. That's just understood that that's multiplication. Okay, the last one we have here, last definition, is a numerical expression. That's an expression that represents a particular number. So we don't have any variables in those. So if we have 2 plus 3, or we have 3 times 10, those are numerical expressions. There's no variables. They're very exclusive clubs, numbers only. Variables are not allowed in numerical expressions. Okay, make sure you have these in your notes. Make sure you can read them. That's very important. And also make sure that you understand them. So if you have your own words you want to use, you go right ahead as long as you understand it and you can read it. Okay, let's work through this example here. I have 7y and y equals 3, 7 times 3. Well, I want to know, let's see what vocabulary word applies to what. So let's pull one out over here. We got variable. Where's my variable? Well, I see a constant here is 7. A variable here is y. Oh, variable, that's what I was looking for, isn't it? Okay, good. Do we have any more? These are just constants. Here's a number, and y is right here again. So y is our variable. Okay, next, what do we pull out? Variable expression. Well, that's the expression that contains what three things? It has a constant, an operation, and a variable. So, the only place I had my variable with a constant, well, here there's an equal sign, and that's not an operation. Here we have our invisible multiplication. So 7 times y is our variable expression. Our constant is 7, our variable is y, and our operation is multiplication. Okay, let's see what comes up next here. A value. A value, we learned, is a number that represents a variable. So right here where it says y equals 3, this 3 right here, that's my value. 3 is the value. And last but not least, good old numerical expression, that exclusive club where variables are not allowed. So right here, we have two numbers. We have 7, we have 3. They're being multiplied. No letters are in there. That's a numerical expression. Okay, let's talk next about what steps we need to do in order to evaluate an expression. For some reason, the word evaluate makes people a little bit nervous. Okay, for some reason they think this is kind of a big scary word, but it's not. All it means is these three simple steps. Write the expression, substitute, and simplify. So if our expression is 7 times y, and y equals 3, let's substitute and see what we get. So that means that y is going on vacation. He needs someone to fill in. Well, 3 can fill in. So we substitute, and we're going to end up with 7 times 3. Simplify that. 7 times 3 is 21. Okay, well, I think we have enough tools now to go ahead and solve the problem of my distance of the vacation. Okay, so write the expression. The first thing we need to do is write the expression. So we have distance equals rate times time. Next we need to substitute. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back up to my word problem here, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight to figure out what am I looking for. It says how far did we travel, what distance. So I'm going to highlight that what distance because that's important to know what we're looking for. Okay, now let's look back through it and see what did they give us. Does it matter that I went to Michigan? No, I could have gone to Iowa, Nebraska, California. It doesn't really matter because this isn't an integrated part of an important part of the problem. It's just the name of the state. So don't worry about what state I'm going to because that's not a part of the problem. Okay? Next, we drove for 7 hours. That is important. Our average speed was 65 miles per hour. That is important. Okay, so I think we've highlighted all the important pieces. Now let's get back to our substitution. D is distance. Do we have distance? Nope, it says what's distance. So we know that's still up in the air. We don't know that one yet. Rate. Do we know the rate? Well, we drove for 7 hours, and the rate is 65 miles per hour. So we know it's 65 is our rate. Okay? And then we're going to multiply it times the time. The time it said was 7 hours. Now, I want you to stop here and check. I have 65 miles per hour for 7 hours. Those need to match. If I would have asked if I drove for 7 minutes, what distance did I go? That makes a big difference. Then you'd have to do some conversions here. But we have hours and hours, so we're good. Now we need to simplify. So D equals, let's take 65 times 7. Now, of course, we're going to just write this out and do the math. We're not going to use one of those crazy calculators or anything like that because we all know how to do this. And we all know what's 6 times 7? 42. 42 plus 3 is 45. If you still don't know your basic multiplications, divisions, I recommend you work on those, okay? That's something you're going to need to know. It's going to make your math go a lot easier and a lot quicker. So get some flashcards. I'll have some websites I recommend. Work on those because those are important. So I have 455. What was I asking for? What label goes here? Was it 455 hours? No, I was looking for the distance. So we need to check here. What do we have for distance? Miles. So that's going to stay miles. Okay, well, I'm going to pause this video and you guys get up, take a little break, and then come back and look at video 2 for lesson 1-1. Thank you.